The python thought that in front of him was an ordinary rodent that would easily become prey. Fatal error. The porcupine masterfully wields needles as a real weapon. There are several species of animals that, with small sizes, have such trump cards that will unpleasantly surprise even the most formidable predators. Squirrels have a reputation for being cute and innocent animals. Their fast jumps, timid nature, and fluffy tails made them a good image of good-natured and cuties. Here it is, effective PR in action. It must have affected the snakes as well. This venomous reptile thought it was going to have a delicious snack. Big mistake. The squirrel doesn't even try to escape. On the contrary, she goes on the attack herself. A cobra can take down a horse with one bite, but a squirrel turns out to be too agile and dexterous. Not a single throw hits the target. The snake already takes a defensive position in a panic, opens the collar, but the squirrel doesn't care. She attacks again and again as lightning rushes from side to side. This is not a unique case. It turns out that squirrels are great fighters. They avoid fights, but if they are angered, then even larger predators will only have to run. These rodents prefer nuts, fruits, and vegetable food, but on occasion they will gladly snack on a poisonous snake. Squirrels have no immunity from the poison of these reptiles, only agility, lightning-fast reaction, and courage, which would be enough for several lions. So don't joke with that squirrel when you feed her nuts. The tactics of squirrels are very unusual. They can either attack from the flanks to confuse less agile opponents, or use their tail. No, they don't hit the snake with it, but they distract them. The tail rises above the squirrel's back, the snake reacts to it and tries to bite, but its teeth slip off the fluffy fur. Meanwhile, the sharp teeth of the squirrel, which easily cope with the hard shell of nuts, are already getting to the scales of the enemy. A porcupine is a small, well-fed animal the size of a dog, with short paws and a cute muzzle. But experienced predators try to avoid this. The reason is simple. Porcupine quills are practically an ultimate weapon against most predators. The fact is that they have a slightly jagged structure, so they do not just hit the enemy with painful injections, but get stuck in their flesh. In addition, the needles are very quickly and easily detached from the porcupine itself. Therefore, most often, a skirmish, a lot of needles remain in the predator's body. And that's when the most unpleasant thing happens: inflammation. In a warm and humid climate, an infection penetrates into the wound, which very quickly causes blood poisoning, tissue death. And such a wound hurts very much. No matter how tough a lion is, he has no grasping fingers, no antiseptics, no antibiotics. Therefore, an ordinary rodent, we can say an overgrown rat, is able to deal with an adult lion, which scatters a gang of hyenas and knocks down buffaloes. In addition, the porcupine is well aware of the capabilities of his weapons and uses it masterfully. He just seems cute. If the porcupine feels threatened, he will attack the enemy itself. And it looks funny from the outside. The porcupine walks with its back to the leopard, moves sideways, and tries to catch the enemy with the tips of his needles. But the leopard is not funny. The porcupine is able to come close with a powerful jerk and force the needles to dig deeper into the predator's flesh, and then move away with a light movement, leaving the needles there. The rodent acts so nimbly that it caused the myth that it shoots needles from a distance. This, of course, is not the case, but who knows where evolution will lead him. At the same time, porcupine needles, contrary to another myth, are not poisonous. These are ordinary modified hairs, just longer, harder, and tougher. But thanks to their flexibility, it is almost impossible to remove needles with their paws. And besides the threat of infection and pain, the needle will also interfere with movement. A terrible weapon. Thanks to this, it is much more difficult to cope with a porcupine than it seems at first glance. So give this porcupine a like. It definitely deserves it with its bravery and fighting skills. The alligator is very young, and the jaguar has the advantage in strength, but the reptile knows judo. Look at that throw over his shoulder. Definitely a black belt. The jaguar literally flies into the water. Usually, a sloth is an easy prey. He of course stinks, but he is not able to provide decent resistance because of his legendary slowness. Therefore, huge harpy eagles are very fond of hunting these animals. The birds literally brush the sloths out of the branches and take them to their nests for lunch. For them, sloths are an easy prey in 99% of cases. But this sloth is the exception. He turned out to be a tough nut to crack. The harpy is shocked herself, but she didn't know who she was messing with. Not only that, but the sloth somehow miraculously escaped the blow. So he also fights off the bird when it landed on the branches to deal with the prey in close combat. As a result, the harpy has to retreat. Like this anaconda. Sloths try not to leave the trees and reluctantly go down to the ground. For them, moving on the ground is so much more stressful that this beast just doesn't care about the anaconda. He literally steps on it to get to the right tree. Maybe the sloth's impudence scares the snake, or maybe it was just full, but the animal successfully trampled on the anaconda and got to the right tree it needed. Why do you think the anaconda didn't attack? Let us know in the comments. The main advantage of the Impala is speed. It is really impressive. Like the maneuverability of a hoofed animal, it is instantly able to change its direction of running and dodge the claws of the lioness at the last second. Fast as a bullet, the Impala passes the predator by itself and runs away, leaving the enemy to swallow its dust. This ungulate does not have enough strength to resist predators like leopards and hyenas. Therefore, if you have already been caught, then most likely the Impala will become lunch. But here the hyena clearly underestimated its enemy. She caught the Impala and was ready to take it with her fangs, but was distracted by the cheetah. Suddenly, the Impala jumps up and runs away. It turns out that she was alive the whole time. It just had enough composure to deceive the hyena and to take advantage of the only chance for salvation. That's how cunning sometimes saves in cases where brute force is not enough. And an Impala also knows how to use someone else's competition for its own good. A group of animals at a watering hole was scared off by a leopard. The cunning predator appeared so unexpectedly that it surprised one of the Impalas, which was at a depth of. It didn't have time to escape. The young leopard's fangs closed in on its throat, and suddenly a hyena appeared. It was more massive than a very young spotted hunter, so she was able to drive away the competitor. But the Impala was alive and jumped to her feet at the moment when the hyena's fangs were as far away from her body as possible. As a result, the hoof managed to escape from a seemingly hopeless situation. It is worth paying tribute to the Impala's endurance. She doesn't try to pull away when the hyena was looking at her, and jumped up only when the opponent lost concentration. Usually zebras are not distinguished by a craving for mutual assistance. If predators attack, then each striped horse will be fending for itself. But sometimes there are exceptions. This zebra is one of them. Suddenly, she went on the attack on the lioness and right in front of the safari group and beat off a fellow predator. For the lioness, this was a shock. She clearly got involved with the wrong ungulates, which she used to hunt. The zebra successfully pushed the lioness away, after which it delivered such a powerful blow to its muzzle with its hooves that the sound could be heard even a few feet away. Although the failed victim was already quite a large individual, it was probably a teenager, and the protective zebra was its mother. However, sometimes a zebra can stand on its own against a lioness. Just look at the stubbornness and power with which the ungulate fights off the predator and shakes it off its neck. Amazing strength, which the lioness clearly did not expect. She holds on tightly with her curved claws, reaches for the throat of the prey, and does not give up until the last minute. But the zebra breaks out of her grip and runs away. Sometimes the unexpected boldness of small animals can look charming. For example, this goose that confronts angry bulls. Isn't it cute? The bird is simply unshakable. They are trying to intimidate her, push her away, trample her. But she herself goes into battle, although she is 100 times smaller than her enemy. Even the numerical advantage does not frighten her. About brave people, they say brave as a lion. But about the most fearless, you should be probably saying brave as a goose. The golden eagle is considered one of the most powerful birds on the planet. They can hunt even young wolves. These birds of prey employ the typical tactics of diurnal predators, but take it to perfection. Soaring high above their prey, they then fold their wings and plummet, extending their clawed talons forward. During this descent, the golden eagle doesn't fully fold its wings. It still controls the direction of the fall and can almost instantly halt it to soar again. Acceleration is necessary not only to make the dive faster, but also to add force to the impact. Thanks to gravity, the eagle's strike can break the spine of an animal 4 to 5 times heavier and bulkier than the bird itself. The bird doesn't aim to finish the fight with a single blow, though. It's ready for a prolonged battle with it. Unfurling its wings, the golden eagle continues to hover over the prey, delivering new strikes. This tactic is so effective that humans used these birds for wolf hunting hundreds of years ago, and continue to use them in some regions of Asia. How do you feel about such hunting? Share your opinion in the comments. Each talon of the feathered predator is as long as a knife, and there are 8 of them in total. When multiple blades strike a dozen times per minute, the victim of the attack is left with almost no chance, even if it's a carnivorous beast. Especially after the first devastating blow. However, this tactic is not foolproof. A seasoned wolf can shake off the eagle's grip and then employ its main weapon, its jaws. The predator doesn't just bite, but grabs its opponent, shaking it from side to side. This both confuses the bird and prevents it from regaining balance, inflicting some serious damage. The golden eagle simply can't reach the wolf's eyes with its talons. Its jaws throw the bird to the ground like a wet rag. Again and again, each strike makes the light, hollow bones of the bird crack. And when the wolf reaches the eagle's throat, it has no chance. This golden eagle decided to use its favorite move on a huge shepherd dog. At first glance, the dog seems to lag behind the wolf in terms of strength and ferocity, and that's usually the case, but the eagle doesn't discern between dog breeds. It's not a lap dog, but a real fighter in front of it. And you know what? The bird had every chance of succeeding even against this opponent. It swooped down on the dog and delivered its strike. It is true that the accuracy was not perfect, so breaking the dog's neck didn't really succeed. But the golden eagle hooked its talons and began systematically delivering blows with its paws. And the bird, however, underestimated the enemy. These dogs were bred specifically to resist predators. They are accustomed to responding to a blow with a blow. Moreover, they cover each other and always go in packs. It's hard to say if the dog would fend off a huge eagle on its own, but it didn't have to test that. Its friends came to its rescue. Together, they rushed the golden eagle and quickly dealt with it. 3 such dogs can fend off a bear. The golden eagle is practically defenseless against them. They managed to throw it off the dog's neck and then simply dragged it along on the ground. This prevented the bird from regaining balance and soaring again. Initially, it hooked with its talons, and then they grabbed its wing, stretched it, and finished it off when it lay upside down. The eagle couldn't fend off with its own paws anymore. In the end, the golden eagle became prey for the dogs. That's what teamwork means. There is a stereotype that swans are cute and innocent birds with an elegant neck curve and a mild temperament. Well, they do look graceful, of course, and extreme monogamy of these birds does seem romantic to human taste. However, in the wild, swans have another trait not often discussed. These white beauties are real bullies in the bird world. Whereas a pair of swans settles, nobody else will at all. They plunder others' nests, pursue, beat, and drown representatives of other species. Basically, they seize the entire water body they choose, even if its area is much longer than they need for living. This eagle was clearly unaware of these swans' habits. It calmly caught fish and other marine creatures, sizing up the white birds as a potential dinner. Sharp talons? Check. Powerful beak? Also check. Could the large and strong eagle handle a swan? Turns out it could not. The swan initiated an aggressive attack, leaving the eagle shocked by the force with which the swan charged. The diurnal predator was in shallow water, with the water barely reaching its belly, but the swan, although unarmed with claws or a sharp beak, possesses such tremendous strength by bird standards that it could grab the eagle with its beak and drag it into the depths, essentially drowning the unwanted guest. The eagle had to flee. Have you ever seen any movie scenes where a character was so desperate that no threats really affected them? Something familiar happened here, but in the reality of the wild. This golden eagle is strong enough to hunt even young deer. A fox might be a serious target for it, but not really a dangerous opponent. The gold eagle is used to foxes fearing it, running away, and exposing their backs for a possible strike. We don't know the drama that unfolded in the life of this red warrior. Maybe he had a falling out with his fox mate. Or lost a good hunting spot. In any case, when the fox noticed the descending gold eagle, it didn't even think of running away, and the bird was shocked. Perhaps it thought that the fox simply hadn't noticed it. The eagle doesn't know who it's dealing with, so it landed and went head-on against the fox to scare it and induce panic. It didn't work. The fox just stood there, staring at the eagle as if saying, come on, are you threatening me? Well then show me what you're capable of, man." While the fox clearly loses to the eagle in combat qualities, it refrains from attacking first. But the redhead's character makes the dangerous predatory bird hesitate and retreat. Large eagles, like golden eagles that live in the mountains, can hunt ungulates that are 10 to 15 times heavier. Even for mighty feathered predators wielding dagger-like talons, this difference is too significant for a typical showdown. So these birds use gravity as a weapon. These eagles are strong enough to utilize acceleration and speed to lift an adult mountain goat or ram. and then drop it off a cliff straight into the abyss. The ungulate doesn't travel a considerable distance in the talons of the feathered predator, but the bird calculates everything so that there's a significant depth beneath the prey when the grip of its taloned claws releases. Eventually, the victim crashes to the ground, and it's just a matter of swooping down to start the feast. Pretty cool, right? But the ungulates themselves don't really like this plan. And this herbivore decided to give the golden eagle a resistance that it would remember for its entire life. When the bird delivered a crushing blow to the back of the herbivore, it dashed towards a steep cliff. However, this wasn't the fall the predator desired. The herbivore runs, unable to control its speed, but the bird can't lift it back into the air either. The golden eagle doesn't back down and doesn't release its grip. It seems to enjoy it. It feels itself like a cowboy riding a Mustang that needs to be tamed. Spreading its wings, the bird maintains balance, continuing to fight and tightening its grip, digging its talons into the prey's back. It won't be easy to shake it off. However, the predator underestimated its prey. The victim does something incredible, turns in a way that puts the bird in front and crashes into the rock at full speed. The herbivore practically rams the stone with the body of its enemy. Due to the inertia of the fall, the goat itself collided with the eagle and finished it off. The bird is alive, but one can only speculate about the internal injuries and fractures it sustained. On the other hand, thanks to landing on the soft bird, the goat avoided critical damage. Of course, its back is injured, but it managed to shake off this pursuer and return to the herd. Pretty cool, isn't it? This eagle certainly didn't expect such audacity. It was calmly dining when it was noticed by a cat. For this feathered predator, a domestic cat is also a potential prey. The white-tailed eagle can handle an animal twice as heavy and larger than the cat. But the fluffy bandit doesn't care who's in front of it. It seeks excitement and wants a snack at the same time. It sneaks up to the eagle, but the bird barely notices it. The funniest part is that on the ground, the feathered predator isn't eager to fight the clawed beast. The eagle probably would win, but strikes with claws to the eyes are a very unpleasant way to end the day. So, when both opponents realized they had noticed each other, they just turned away and started carefully surveying the surroundings. As if a dialogue had taken place between them. Who are you? I was just passing by, admiring the scenery, and you? Me too, just standing here looking at these beautiful landscapes. The way potential enemies deliberately ignored each other's looks amusing, and at the same time shows that predators usually rely on a sudden attack. And if they realize they've been noticed, they might retreat. Interestingly enough, this trait unites both mammals and birds. Still, the eagle was clearly shocked by the cat's boldness. Which instance of unexpected resistance by predatory birds amazed you the most? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel to be the first to learn the most fascinating facts about wild and domestic animals.